In part 2 of this story, as Nayomi and Amina faced off against Dr. Emmanuel in a gripping public debate, the stakes soared with every word exchanged. Nayomi's compelling testimony and the raw stories of those affected by sickle cell disease left the once dominant doctor visibly shaken. The dramatic turning point came when Dr. Emmanuel, under intense scrutiny and confronted with undeniable evidence, struggled to reconcile his earlier remarks with the profound realities shared by the advocates. This high-stakes confrontation not only exposed deep-seated biases but also ignited a fervent call for reform. To find out how this pivotal moment reshaped public discourse and spurred a wave of transformative change, come on and discover the full impact of this extraordinary clash. Nayomi and Amina watched the escalating drama with a mix of concern and resolve. The public outcry was a testament to the power of collective voices, but it also intensified the pressure on them to maintain their advocacy efforts amidst the turmoil. They knew that the movement for change had gained significant momentum, but it also came with its own set of challenges. In private conversations, they strategized ways to harness the energy of the public outcry to further their cause. They planned to use the heightened awareness to push for more comprehensive education programs and to engage with policymakers to address systemic issues related to sickle cell disease. As the backlash continued, Nayomi and Amina remained steadfast in their mission. The conflict surrounding Dr. Emmanuel's comments had amplified their advocacy efforts, highlighting the urgent need for empathy, understanding, and accountability. They understood that public figures must be held responsible for their statements, especially when those statements impact vulnerable communities. The stirring impact of Nayomi's speech at the health fair began to ripple through Lagos, sparking a wave of community action. Local organizations and grassroots groups, galvanized by the growing awareness of sickle cell disease, stepped up to address the pressing need for education and support. Support groups were quickly formed, providing a much-needed network for families affected by sickle cell disease. These groups offered a space for shared experiences, emotional support, and practical advice on managing the condition. Community centers started hosting regular meetings, where healthcare professionals and advocates like Nayomi and Amina shared valuable information and resources. Educational programs sprung up in schools and workplaces, aiming to dispel myths and reduce stigma surrounding the disease. Workshops, seminars, and outreach campaigns were organized to inform the public about the realities of living with sickle cell disease and to foster a more compassionate understanding. The collective mobilization of the community was a powerful testament to the impact of advocacy and the strength of united action. Nayomi and Amina watched with pride as their efforts began to bear fruit, knowing that meaningful change was unfolding before their eyes. The intense backlash against Dr. Emmanuel had left him increasingly isolated. The mounting pressure from the public and media took its toll, and the once revered doctor found himself grappling with the fallout from his controversial comments. Public protests, relentless criticism, and widespread demands for accountability had shifted the narrative from his original message to the personal and professional consequences of his words. Faced with the enormity of the situation, Dr. Emmanuel reluctantly agreed to participate in a public dialogue. The event was set to be a critical juncture, where he would address his previous remarks and engage in a discussion about sickle cell disease with Nayomi and other prominent advocates. The dialogue was scheduled to be broadcast live, promising to draw a significant audience. In the days leading up to the event, Dr. Emmanuel issued a statement expressing his willingness to learn and grow from the experience. "I understand the gravity of my previous comments and am committed to a constructive conversation about sickle cell disease," he said. His words were met with cautious optimism from some quarters but also skepticism from others. The public dialogue took place in a packed auditorium, with Nayomi, Amina, and other advocates present. As Dr. Emmanuel took the stage, his demeanor was somber, and he faced the audience with a mix of apprehension and determination. Nayomi began the discussion by addressing the pain and stigma faced by those with sickle cell disease, sharing her personal experiences and highlighting the importance of compassionate understanding. Dr. Emmanuel listened attentively, acknowledging the points raised. When his turn came, he spoke candidly about his initial misconceptions and expressed a genuine desire to improve his understanding of the disease. The dialogue, though fraught with tension, marked a step towards reconciliation. The event concluded with a pledge from Dr. Emmanuel to support sickle cell advocacy and work towards better healthcare solutions. For Nayomi and the advocates, the dialogue was a sign of progress, an opportunity to bridge gaps and foster greater understanding. The tension in the air was palpable as Nayomi and her team prepared for the upcoming public debate with Dr. Emmanuel. The debate was not just another event, it was a crucial confrontation aimed at challenging and dismantling the harmful views that had ignited so much controversy. The stakes were high, and Nayomi knew that this was a pivotal moment in their advocacy efforts. In the days leading up to the debate, Nayomi and her supporters worked tirelessly to gather compelling evidence and personal testimonies. They compiled data on the realities of sickle cell disease, including medical research, statistics on patient experiences, and the societal impact of stigma. Nayomi and Amina interviewed families who had faced rejection and hardship due to Dr. Emmanuel's statements, preparing to share these poignant stories during the debate. The venue for the debate was packed, with media representatives, healthcare professionals, and members of the public eagerly awaiting the showdown. As the debate began, Nayomi took a deep breath, her nerves stilled by the gravity of the situation. Dr. Emmanuel appeared composed, but the tension in his eyes betrayed his anxiety. Nayomi started by addressing the audience with a clear, unwavering voice. She presented the evidence, emphasizing the real-world impact of sickle cell disease and the importance of accurate, compassionate discourse. Her presentation was a meticulous blend of facts and heartfelt narratives, designed to counteract Dr. Emmanuel's previous comments and shed light on the lived experiences of those affected by the disease. Dr. Emmanuel responded with a series of defensive remarks, but Nayomi's team was prepared. They countered his arguments with data and personal stories, highlighting the flaws in his previous statements. The debate grew heated as Nayomi and Dr. Emmanuel clashed over issues of public health and stigma. Nayomi's calm demeanor and well-researched points contrasted sharply with Dr. Emmanuel's increasingly erratic responses. The turning point came when Amina shared a particularly emotional story about her son, Idris, and the direct impact of Dr. Emmanuel's comments on their lives. Her testimony struck a deep chord with the audience, visibly affecting Dr. Emmanuel. The room was silent, filled with a sense of profound realization. As the debate concluded, Nayomi and her team felt a mix of exhaustion and cautious optimism. They had confronted Dr. Emmanuel with evidence and empathy, challenging his harmful views in front of a captivated audience. The debate had been intense, but it had also been a powerful demonstration of the impact that confronting harmful ideologies can have. Nayomi knew that the road ahead was still long, but the showdown marked a significant step towards changing perceptions and fostering a more compassionate understanding of sickle cell disease. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation as the public debate between Nayomi and Dr. Emmanuel commenced. The stage was set for a clash of perspectives on sickle cell disease, and the stakes could not have been higher. Cameras flashed, and a live stream broadcasted the event to a wide audience. Nayomi, seated at her designated podium, felt a mixture of nervous energy and focused determination. She knew that this debate was her chance to make a lasting impact and challenge the harmful misconceptions propagated by Dr. Emmanuel. Nayomi opened with a compelling presentation that outlined the realities of sickle cell disease. Her slides were packed with data and visuals, each carefully chosen to highlight the physical, emotional, and social toll of the condition. She spoke with clarity and authority, her voice steady as she presented statistics on patient outcomes and the stigma faced by those with the disease. The audience listened attentively, clearly engaged by her well-researched arguments. Then came the personal testimonies. Nayomi invited several individuals to share their stories, each one a poignant account of the struggles faced due to sickle cell disease. Amina spoke about her son, Idris, and the discrimination they had encountered. Another speaker, Kofi, recounted the difficulties of managing his condition in a society that often viewed him with suspicion and scorn. Their stories brought an emotional depth to the debate, shifting the focus from abstract arguments to real-life experiences. Dr. Emmanuel, on the other hand, appeared increasingly uneasy. His attempts to defend his previous statements seemed to falter as he struggled to address the powerful evidence and heartfelt testimonies presented by Nayomi. His responses were often evasive, and he occasionally lapsed into technical jargon that did little to resonate with the lay audience. As the debate progressed, Nayomi remained poised and articulate. She addressed Dr. Emmanuel's counterpoints with a combination of factual rebuttals and empathetic understanding. When he argued that his comments were intended to promote prevention, Nayomi countered by emphasizing the harm caused by his statements and the need for a more nuanced, compassionate approach to sickle cell disease. The turning point came when Dr. Emmanuel was unable to provide satisfactory answers to the direct questions posed by Nayomi and the audience. His credibility began to wane as he struggled to reconcile his earlier comments with the real-world impact highlighted by Nayomi. The audience's reaction was telling. Many looked on with newfound sympathy for Naomi's position and frustration at Dr. Emmanuel's lack of substantive responses. As the debate concluded, Nayomi felt a surge of relief and accomplishment. She had prepared meticulously, communicated her points clearly, and stood firm in the face of challenging opposition. The debate was intense, but it demonstrated the power of effective advocacy. Nayomi had not only defended her cause but had also amplified the voices of those affected by sickle cell disease, bringing their struggles into the spotlight. Walking off the stage, Nayomi knew that the debate was just one step in a larger journey. The real work of changing perceptions and fostering understanding would continue, but she felt confident that their message had reached a wider audience and made a significant impact. The relentless media storm surrounding Dr. Emmanuel had reached a critical point. The doctor, once a respected figure in the medical community, now faced immense pressure to address the fallout from his controversial remarks about sickle cell disease. The growing outrage from affected families, advocacy groups, and the public left no room for ambiguity. Something had to change. In a tense press conference broadcast live, Dr. Emmanuel appeared before a packed room of journalists and activists. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as the doctor prepared to address his previous statements. His demeanor was solemn, reflecting the gravity of the situation. I want to openly acknowledge the hurt caused by my recent comments on sickle cell disease, Dr. Emmanuel began, his voice steady but filled with regret. I realize now that my words were insensitive and did not reflect the complexity of the condition or the struggles faced by those who live with it. For that, I am deeply sorry. He continued, moving forward, I am committed to supporting sickle cell awareness and education. I will collaborate with advocacy groups and experts to ensure that my contributions to this field are informed by a more compassionate and accurate understanding. Nayomi, watching from the audience, felt a wave of relief. Dr. Emmanuel's apology was a significant victory not just for her but for the entire sickle cell advocacy community. It was a powerful step toward healing, reflecting the effectiveness of persistent advocacy and the importance of holding public figures accountable. The apology marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where dialogue and understanding could pave the way for meaningful change. The air in Lagos felt different now, charged with the promise of a fresh start. The public's shift in attitude and Dr. Emmanuel's apology had opened the door to new possibilities for families affected by sickle cell disease. The momentum generated by Nayomi's relentless advocacy and the community's unified efforts had set the stage for meaningful change. As the community rallied together, several new initiatives were launched. Local organizations, fueled by the recent surge of awareness, began rolling out programs designed to provide direct support to those affected by sickle cell disease. Health workshops, support groups, and educational campaigns became more frequent, offering resources and a sense of solidarity to families navigating the challenges of the condition. Nayomi found herself at the forefront of these initiatives, her voice now a prominent advocate for change. She was invited to speak at various events, collaborate with healthcare professionals, and participate in policy discussions aimed at improving support systems. Her tireless efforts had established her as a leading figure in the fight against stigma and for better healthcare solutions. The new initiatives included a community health center dedicated to sickle cell care, where patients could access specialized treatment and counseling. Schools introduced programs to educate students about sickle cell disease, fostering a more inclusive environment for affected children. The once taboo topic of sickle cell disease was now openly discussed, with greater understanding and compassion replacing ignorance and fear. Nayomi's heart swelled with pride as she saw the tangible impact of their collective efforts. The road had been long and fraught with challenges, but the results were undeniable. Families once marginalized now had access to crucial support, and the stigma that had once shadowed them was slowly being dismantled. The journey of advocacy and change was far from over, but Nayomi felt a renewed sense of hope. The positive change that had emerged was a testament to what could be achieved when individuals and communities worked together toward a common goal. Nayomi and her allies knew that the work ahead was crucial, but they also understood that this new beginning marked a pivotal moment in their shared mission for justice and empathy. The excitement in Lagos was palpable as the day of Nayomi's book launch arrived. The venue was abuzz with anticipation, rows of chairs were filled with journalists, healthcare professionals, community leaders, and families affected by sickle cell disease. Nayomi stood near the entrance, her heart racing with a mix of pride and nervousness. Her book, The Color of Hope, was more than just a compilation of her experiences, it was a powerful testament to the struggles and triumphs of those living with sickle cell disease. The book launch event began with a moving introduction by Amina, who spoke about Nayomi's relentless advocacy and the impact of her work. Nayomi took the stage to a standing ovation, her emotions welling up as she addressed the audience. Holding a copy of The Color of Hope, she spoke passionately about the journey that led to the book's creation. "This book is not just my story," Nayomi said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "It's the story of every person who has faced the pain, stigma, and isolation of sickle cell disease. It's a call for understanding, empathy, and action." The audience listened intently as Nayomi shared excerpts from her book, detailing personal anecdotes and the broader issues of stigma and community support. Her writing had captured not only her own experiences but also the voices of countless others who had struggled in silence. As Nayomi signed copies of the book, readers approached her with gratitude and admiration. Many expressed how her words had resonated deeply with them and how The Color of Hope had provided them with both solace and motivation. The book was quickly lauded for its candid and insightful portrayal of sickle cell disease and its ability to bridge the gap between medical understanding and personal experience. The launch was a resounding success, with the book receiving widespread acclaim from critics and readers alike. It was hailed as a vital resource for education, offering both a personal and informative perspective on sickle cell disease. Schools, libraries, and healthcare institutions began incorporating it into their resources, recognizing its value in fostering greater awareness and compassion. For Nayomi, the book launch was a profound moment of achievement. She had succeeded in turning her personal journey into a powerful tool for change. The Color of Hope was more than just a publication, it was a beacon of hope and a call to action. It had the potential to inspire, educate, and ultimately contribute to a more informed and empathetic society. The echoes of Naomi's book launch had barely faded when she turned her attention to a new and vital initiative, creating safe spaces for individuals affected by sickle cell disease. The success of The Color of Hope had amplified the call for systemic change, and Nayomi was determined to build on the momentum. Her vision was to establish environments where those living with sickle cell could find not only medical support but also a sense of community and understanding. Nayomi began collaborating with several local organizations, healthcare providers, and community leaders to bring her vision to life. Meetings were held, strategies were discussed, and plans were drawn up. The goal was clear: to create dedicated spaces that would offer comprehensive support, education, and resources tailored to the needs of individuals with sickle cell disease. The first of these safe spaces was a newly established community center, strategically located in a central area of Lagos. The center was designed with a welcoming atmosphere, featuring comfortable spaces for group meetings, individual counseling rooms, and an educational library stocked with resources about sickle cell disease. The center also offered workshops on disease management, nutritional advice, and mental health support. Nayomi worked closely with the staff to ensure that the center provided not just medical information but also emotional and social support. Peer support groups were formed, where individuals and families could share their experiences and build networks of understanding. The center also organized regular events, such as health fairs and awareness seminars, to educate the broader community and reduce stigma. Another key initiative was the creation of mobile support units that traveled to underserved areas, bringing resources and assistance directly to those who needed them. These units provided on-the-spot consultations, distributed educational materials, and offered referrals to specialized care. The impact of these safe spaces was profound. Families who had previously felt isolated and unsupported now found a network of allies and resources at their disposal. The community's approach to sickle cell disease began to shift, with increased empathy and a recognition of the importance of supportive environments. Nayomi visited the community center frequently, engaging with individuals and families, listening to their feedback, and celebrating their successes. She saw firsthand the transformation that had taken place. The safe spaces had become havens of hope, empowerment, and solidarity. Through her relentless efforts, Nayomi had not only created physical spaces of support but had also fostered a culture of compassion and understanding. The safe spaces stood as a testament to the power of community collaboration and the essential role of supportive environments in improving the well-being of those affected by chronic conditions. The morning sun filtered through the classrooms of Lagos as Nayomi embarked on a new and vital mission, transforming school environments for children with sickle cell disease. Her recent successes had bolstered her confidence and determination, and she now focused on addressing one of the most pressing issues faced by young patients: bullying and lack of understanding in schools. Nayomi's initiative began with a series of meetings with school administrators, teachers, and parent associations. She presented her plan to introduce comprehensive educational programs about sickle cell disease, aiming to dispel myths and foster a culture of empathy and inclusion. The proposal was met with enthusiasm from many quarters, who recognized the importance of creating a supportive environment for all students. The initiative kicked off with workshops and seminars designed to educate teachers and staff about sickle cell disease. Nayomi and her team, including healthcare professionals and advocacy specialists, provided detailed explanations of the condition, its symptoms, and its impact on students' lives. They also emphasized the importance of recognizing the signs of sickle cell crisis and implementing appropriate accommodations in the classroom. In parallel, Nayomi developed anti-bullying programs tailored to address the specific challenges faced by children with sickle cell disease. These programs included interactive activities, role-playing exercises, and discussions aimed at promoting empathy and reducing stigma. The goal was to create a school culture where differences were celebrated and every student felt safe and valued. The most impactful aspect of the initiative was the introduction of peer education programs. Students were invited to participate in discussions about sickle cell disease, facilitated by trained peers who shared their own experiences. This approach not only educated students but also built a sense of solidarity and support among them. Nayomi's efforts extended beyond just educational sessions. She worked to establish clear anti-bullying policies within schools, ensuring that incidents involving sickle cell disease were taken seriously and addressed promptly. The policies included provisions for supporting students during crises and providing additional resources to families when needed.